Welcome back. Today we're going to do part 2 of the lady beetle, and we are mostly going to work on stippling and detail painting. This one took me quite a bit longer than the initial outline, but I really like the end results and I hope you will too. Let's get started. All right, so I started with just my red watercolor, and this was the fastest part. So I went ahead and just started with a really light amount of red and just kind of pulled it around with my water. Now, with this lightweight of a paper, I had to really keep in mind keeping my water level down. You can even see it wrinkling a little bit, but as it dried out, it actually flattened out quite nice. I wanted to be able to see the words through this, so I just went ahead and kept it super light, but then I did go around the edges, you'll notice, and darken it up a little bit. The second part of this I did was I started stippling, and I wasn't super happy with it as I started out, but as I got into it, I found the methodical practice of just the little dots to be really calming. And I encourage you guys to try some stippling, whether it be with a little watercolor brush or with a pen. It's a really fun way to shade, and you'll see here how I use different amounts of dots to get different lightness and darkness. And that lightness and darkness in art is called value. So we can either have light values or dark values. Our other term for this movie would be stippling, which just means the repetitive dots that you can see I'm doing here. I also did some repetitive lines. I really enjoyed the detail painting on this insect, especially some of the little like hooks and horns like the one I just did there that go on the outside of the leg. It's just fascinating how something so teeny can have so many intricate parts. I just never think about it until I look at these scientific drawings. That's where I got the resource for this, by the way. I just looked up scientific drawing of a ladybug beetle and found a great resource to look at while I did the outline. And then as I did these little bug hairs, I wish I knew all the science terms for these different things, but since I became an art teacher and not an entomologist, I will just have to stick with hair things. So here I'm continuing my detail. I'm really starting to feel more comfortable with the style I've chosen for this. I really enjoyed making the legs on this insect the most, and it almost makes me want to do a series of insect paintings. However, I think I'll have to move on to a new YouTube for our next one because I have a great idea. All right, getting the last leg done. There it is. And you'll notice that my antennas aren't exactly the same length, but I think it's the imperfections that make it beautiful. I like to think maybe the bug was moving or the wind was blowing. Doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. I'm going in here and just kind of looking at my bug as a whole and deciding what I need to do, and I definitely want to give these dots a little more definition in unity. So you can see some of them look light, some of them look dark, some of them look stippled. So I think I want to give them all a stippled finish, and I want it to look like a nice gradient that is a nice light to dark instead of a real harsh switch. So you can see I add less dots where I want it to be lighter, more dots where I want it to be darker, and hopefully that just gives it a nice fade out. It's going to be dark around the edges, so I'm going to put dots around there as well. Taking one more look at it as a whole. And there she is. Well, that was fun. I really enjoyed that stippling so much that I was late for a meeting. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this movie of watercolor painting of a lady beetle, and join me next time for our next art project.